I'm glad I'm a scientist born in Detroit, Michigan. So... I think Liam Neeson is a fantastic actor. He kills it in every movie he's in. He is the sweetest guy. All that said, I do personally believe that Liam might be the only one who thinks that Liam is doing an American accent in all of his movies.
Hey guys, I need you to do me a favor. Help me fight the algorithm. Go ahead and hit like, hit that subscribe button, and hit that bell icon for new notifications. Thank you. Hello, we just got to the Sharonville Convention Center. Going to check out HorrorHound Weekend Convention. I'm assuming it'll be kind of like Cincinnati Comic Con, but I don't know. I don't know what the differences will be. I'm sure there'll be lots of similarities and lots of differences. What are you expecting, Ashley?
I think we will see a lot more blood and guts as we are walking through.
Oh, I guarantee you.
I think that we will be walking through and we will be just, like, slipping over those organs.
Well, I don't know about that. I do not know about that one. But
all those organs on the ground.
But I am hoping to get my Star Trek collection started. I am hoping to get Jeffrey Combs. I'll probably, like, if there's not too much going on today, I definitely want to do the Reanimator panel, but I don't know if there's anything else. So, like... we'll try to get Jeffrey Combs today, probably, because I would always recommend get it as early as possible in case something happens later. I know Bobby and George are also here, so if they randomly pop up as we're recording, know that I couldn't get rid of them. Like, I tried to shoo them off, and they were just like, no, we're going to be in this. And it's like, oh, God fucking damn it. Okay, fine. Because I hate having them around.
We really don't like it when we film with them. It makes us so sad.
We're very serious people, and they're so goofy.
I'm so serious.
Super serious.
So super serial, even.
But yeah, no, we will check this out. We gotta go pick up our press passes. It looks like a lot of the 4 to 5, and it's like 4:20 right now. A lot of the 4 to 5 stuff is just kind of like kind of getting in, and they're doing like trailers and stuff like that. And then so we'll just get in and go check it out. Like I said, in Sharonville Convention Center, like I've been to Sharonville Convention Center for union stuff, never for like a big convention. And this seems like a fairly big convention, so we'll see how it goes. Mm-hmm. We'll check it out. Yeah. Nothing else. We'll meet Jeffrey Combs.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're at the HorrorHound. Bobby is being our cameraman. But yeah, we just got Jeffrey Combs, got a selfie and way you an autograph, so that's awesome. We're probably going to check out maybe some film festival stuff for the Reanimator panel at 7. So yeah, that's the update.
Start out with Jeff. I mean, did you ever think that Herbert West as a character would become what he was?
No. The other day it occurred to me, I'd forgotten, that when I auditioned for Herbert West, when I got offered that role, almost like within a day, I also got offered to do a play, to play Romeo. Romeo and Juliet. Yeah, I know. Herbert West, Romeo. And I think I made the right decision. One was a play, one was a movie, and that's sort of why I was in LA in the first place. So, but I did not dream that we'd be here. How many years later? 39 years later, talking about that movie. That was the farthest reality from where I was sitting, for sure. But that's a testament to who's not here, Mr. Jude Courtney. Brian for sure, but Stuart's drive and vision and approach, I think made all the difference for all of us. And it's amazing.
How about you folks, when you were first offered the roles, is there anything that you thought, well, maybe this is going a little too far, or any of it?
Okay. I wasn't the first actress to be offered this role. I wasn't in that casting. They hadn't met me yet. But the girl who got the role, her mother read the script and she said, "Oh no, you're not doing that movie." So they had to have a recasting because her mother was like, "No, I don't think so." So I went in and I read with these guys, and I didn't know that Jeff had already had the part. But had you had the part already? No, so it was just you and I, and it was kind of like chemistry. This chemistry, yeah. Right? I mean, come on. I had a big crush on him when we were doing the movie. Have I ever told you that before? You were married and I had a boyfriend, but I mean, that's fine. Because, well, no, it wasn't fine, like nothing would have happened, but I was like, he's so cute and so nice, and we worked really well together, so whatever. But I remember during the audition, the fun thing about it was that Stuart came from the theater, so he worked with us a lot on the scene. So we would come in and read a scene together, and then he would give us direction. And then he would say, "Okay, go out in the hallway and work on it, and then come back." So we did that a few times. And I just remember thinking how good Jeffrey was in the reading, and I thought, wow, I really hope he gets the part, because he's so good. I didn't know we already had the part, but anyway. So in the beginning, we were there I was there 3 hours or so, and I remember there was a lot of people in the room, in the outer room before we went in, and then throughout the day, it just got less and less people until I think it was just us left. And then, pretty soon after that I had had the part. We also rehearsed the movie for 3 weeks. It was one of the first movies I'd ever done, and we rehearsed every day for 3 weeks, and I thought, oh, this is what they do in movies too, they rehearse. Never happened since.
That is a testament to one of the reasons why Reanimator clicks is because of the rehearsal time that we took. Instead of fumbling around on set where they don't want you to fumble around on set figuring things out. Well, do you want to make a good movie or something that's kind of forced and not as good as it could be? We walked in and went, what scene are we doing? Oh, right, we got that. That's the one where we got it. Let's go. And that's so vital. I mean, it's one of the key elements why we could do it in 18 days. Shot this movie in 18 days.
Yeah, but no, we went overtime.
It was 16 days.
Oh, sorry.
And then there were 2 days of pickups after the end.
Yeah, but Stuart would never stop filming. So at the end of a 10-hour day, which was what you were supposed to have as an actor, he would say, well, no, we're not finished. We got to do this, we got to do that. And I actually made more money in overtime on that movie than I got paid my salary. Because I think we would go 15 and 16 hours a day. It was ridiculous. He wouldn't let us go home and sleep. It was crazy. He just wouldn't stop. He kept, every scene, well, I want one more take of that. I want one more take of that. I think you need to do this in that scene. Come on, give me more, Barbara. What do you got for me? And it just went on and on and on like that, right? Remember?
And I walked in and I'm sitting there waiting to go in, and backlit, somebody comes in and sits down next to me, and it turned out to be Joe Mantegna, okay? And I'm like, what are you here for? Oh, I'm reading for this FBI guy, Danvers. And I went, oh. What am I doing here? And then the Michael J. Fox came out and went, hey, Joey, thanks for coming in. I went, I'm so in the wrong fucking place here. But Peter was great, and his direction was just so. I was telling Bruce, your name's Bruce, right? I was telling Bruce backstage just now that Peter's direction to me was Jif. Call me Jif, like the peanut butter. Jif. Jif. Attack and retreat and no eye contact. It's like one of the greatest. I can play that. I can attack and retreat, no eye contact. And that's basically what that guy, among other things like PTSD and ADHD and all of those acronyms. He's just not a well man, but a juicy role. And I had such a great time in New Zealand. People, place, vibe, and Peter's creativity and collaboration. It's a mountaintop experience. There for 6-7 weeks, something like that.
Well, Reanimator did so well. You know, thanks to Brian Yuzna, who actually started it all.
Absolutely.
You know, kudos to Brian. None of us would be here without Brian. Because he had been, just a little segue here, sorry. He had been, you know, trying to get this off the ground as a series, and then pivoted to a movie with Stuart. But I'd love for you to, actually, before we answer your question, just tell us a little bit about how Reanimator got started. Sorry, I'm pivoting from Beyond back to Him. Go ahead, Brian.
Well, I wanted to go to Hollywood and make movies. I had no qualifications. So the only thing you can do if you know nothing is be a producer. And I put an ad in Variety, in Weekly Variety, because I didn't live in LA. And the ad said, horror director wanted. And I got many letters. There were no fax machines even back then. And through a circuitous route, through Bob Greenberg, I don't know if you guys ever knew Bob. He was a real important person. And he hooked me up with Stuart in Chicago, and I went to see Stuart, and actually Stuart already had a pilot script for a TV show based on the Reanimator story. He had two ideas. One was to make a horror movie about a dog tormenting a little tot in a playpen, and the other, kind of a Cujo, and the other was Reanimator. Luckily, we went with Reanimator, and we expanded it to a movie, and within a year we shot it, and of course it was, I think the thing I always like to mention is that people always think it's a first-time director, and it wasn't at all. Stuart had been directing theater for 10 years. And we're not used to that with these, you know, with these cheap horror movies that we like. But anyway, after From Beyond, after Reanimator, then we got to have the 3-picture deal.
Well, yeah.
And so we got to sign it on a napkin and can. And now somebody else was paying for it, and I was not on the hook. And of course, we did get to go to Rome, and we went with Ben Foray, who's here too, but not up here.
Because, you know, the budget for Reanimator was something like $750,000 or something, I think. But because that movie did so well, they gave us a lot more money to do From Beyond. And we were able to go to Italy and do the movie there, and we had all of the best special effects artists. A lot of them, you know, are still working today. Greg Nicotero from The Walking Dead was one of our people, and you know, if you look on IMDb, the list is like 30 people long about who we had on that film, and it was an amazing experience.
I think one of the best scenes that I'd like to hear Jeffrey mention is when he had to stick his head in that big lamprey, which is a big rubber, just a huge, horrible rubber thing in the water.
The big serpent in the water.
They didn't come out without any
they
hair.
made a bad equation mistake on that one. And, you know, it was this big foam rubber thing that comes out of the water, and it's on a hook with a certain weight kind of chain, or not, like wire almost. And they didn't count on the foam rubber like being a sponge and soaking up all the water and being like 5 fucking times heavier than they thought. So this thing went down. That we lost a day on that one, I think. That we found bigger game.
Both of those movies were really lifted by Richard Van's music.
Absolutely.
Score to the animator was fantastic. And then the score he did for From Beyond, I think, is even more outstanding. I mean, that is it's an award-winning score.
I'll tell you what the relationship is. We did not know each other when we were paired up as frickin' frack here, but we had a lot of friends in common.
Yeah, I know Jeff. I've heard of Jeff through lots of friends in theater. He and I both came from an extensive theater background, and I heard his name. I'd only heard really good things about his work, which made me feel a lot better about doing it.
Likewise.
I knew, like, oh, this is really good. At least he likes people from the theater. I have to say, like, I don't know, all of us really, chemistry-wise, was one of the best chemistry sets I've ever been on. It was so easy from the beginning.
It's so hard for actors when they come in and they don't like click with the other person. It's like, okay, I'm really kind of on my own. I sort of liken it like musicians. Like, well, I can play with you. With some people you can't. It just isn't there.
I didn't care for the script a lot when I read it. It was so far beyond my imagination. It just blew my mind. I remember throwing the script across the room and going like, this is truly offensive. This is as bad as it gets. Do I want to do this? You know, I'll never work again, for sure, if I ever do this. And when I went in and read, also, I think I said this recently before, I knew about him and I knew he was cast. I didn't know anyone else. And I read with 2 other women and it didn't click for me at all until I read with Barbara. And then it started to make sense to me a lot more. I started to feel like, oh, I can feel that for her. You know, I can see it. It seemed like, oh, this is dead right.
Should we tell them about our field trip?
Oh, sure. Yeah, tell them. This was so great. Oh my God.
So Stuart says, listen, you guys are going to be playing medical students and it's about bringing the dead back to life. I have scheduled for you both to go down, well, you know, tomorrow or something.
Yeah, it was no notice whatsoever.
Like no notice, just you're going to the LA morgue and there's a guy who's going to meet you down there and, you know, take you through the morgue. And at this point, you know, bringing the dead back to life, that's no big, okay, it's a concept. But when you're in a room with cadavers and you see someone with tubes coming out of their rib cage and they're frozen and inanimate, there's no fucking way you're gonna bring that back. So the magic of the idea really sparked this. The miracle that we would actually be able to do this was really immediate and really energized us to believe that we could do this impossible thing.
Yeah, you can't really relate to it until you go to a place like that and you're familiar with it. And what the thing that I remember bringing with me when I left was the smell of the place. Because
I always remember your scene when you first walk into the morgue in the movie, and you go,
that's because he went to the morgue.
Yeah, that's exactly what, you know, you're like, I don't...
The formaldehyde or what was it?
Yeah, you do smell that, but also there's like, everybody smells different even when they're alive, but imagine how different they smell when they're dead. It's just...
The other ghoulish thing was the guy that was leading us around was really taking a lot of delight in our being very disturbed.
Yeah.
He was like, how are you guys?
And Stuart wasn't there, right? I mean,
No,
he just
Stuart was
dropped us
not there.
off.
No,
right?
he said,
go on, little baby.
so you guys really want to see something? Come in here. And we were like, oh shit. You know, it's like, piled up death, you know, it's like, and then what did we do after that? Do you remember?
No.
We went to a steakhouse. And I don't think we ate very much once we were there.
I remember also everybody's a different color. Depending on how you die, you turn a different color. You're blue, or you're red, or you're green, or whatever.
You know what's occurring to me listening to this is that imagine that their visceral reaction. This is what actually came off in the movie, and it was so distinct. And when I started looking at the movie at the beginning, in the first cut, which was much too long, I was having this visceral reaction. My thinking was, my God, you know, people are going to walk out on this. This is just too much. That's where the whole idea came to introduce it with a little bit of not so much humor, just that a quirkiness that was necessary, I think, for people to accept.
I remember you talked to me about it.
Yes.
I mean, yes. I thought 2.5 hour cut was too long.
Yeah, it was a
We did find 86 good minutes, but I remember you mentioned it. You said, you know, I did this movie. You mentioned a movie called Sister Jekyll or Dr.
Oh, Jekyll and Hyde, yeah, that one with Oliver Reed, yeah.
Was it Sister Jekyll and Mr. Hyde?
Yeah, Dr. Heckle, Mr. Hyde.
Yeah, Dr. Heckle.
Right.
And you said, you know, the movie was funny, but they kind of had me score it straight. And you mentioned it. You said, you know, there's some stuff in here I really have to take a step over and score it for the humor. And I think that was the scene where Dr. Hill comes in.
Yeah, that was one of them,
You know,
right.
Right. It was totally not going, we're going to play this straight.
Right, because it really, if you think about it, if everything was played 100% straight, these visceral reactions we're talking about, they were coming through in spades.
I remember you and I having a conversation. This is a bloody onslaught, this movie. It's relentless. We have got to find release points. We don't want to be clownish. We don't want to be...
Yes, and he got to be funny. I got to whine.
I think the first time.
You were the straight man.
I think the first scene was the cat scene when you fool him and laugh at him.
Right.
I think that was maybe where the flag was planted.
Right. We knew that there had to be some, for an audience, there had to be like, oh my God, and then, oh good God, I can sort of release that. And then
you needed the release.
You needed the release.
That's the bottom line. Right,
we
exactly.
But no, not to be funny, not to be clownish, not to be, hey, are we funny? But we needed some release points. Just one of them that I remember that's not in the script, that was the head, and I put it in the pan and it falls over. I try it again, it falls over, and I actually, what the fuck am I gonna do with this head? It won't, wait a minute. And bless the prop guy, he had one of those needle things for the nose, you know, and I went, And so it's the rule of the threes. 1 doesn't work, 2 doesn't work. Solved. It's ghoulish, it's hideous, but it's also, everybody laughs at it.
Just finished day 1 of HorrorHound. What do you think, Ashleen?
I had a good time.
Yeah, I had a good time too. I mean, we met Jeffrey Combs. We stopped by the film festival and we caught the tail end of a short, and
it was really cool.
It looked really cool.
I understood nothing.
I didn't really understand anything. I kind of got the idea, like, you know, obviously there's a mother and her son is gone and probably dead, and the son's like, come home, and then the mother's gone, and you know, I got the idea.
Props to the producer and editor.
No, the movie looked amazing. I kind of wanted to see it from the beginning, but it was just a short film. And then a director came up and was like, "Hey, you know, I directed one of the movies that you guys who just came in didn't see." And we had a guy who was painted orange, and I was just like, "Well, I want to see that movie now."
You see, he was a terrible person. He got what he deserved, and we wanted him to look like a carrot. And I was like, "Where was I when this film was really?"
Yeah, it's like, God, that sounds cool. So like, we're gonna try to do a film festival tomorrow, going around 11 and catch one of the short film festivals and maybe talk to some of the filmmakers.
Yes.
Sounds awesome. And then there'll be the Evil Dead panel tomorrow. I'm not going to meet Sam Raimi because holy crap, he's expensive. I got Jeffrey Combs. I'm starting my Star Trek collection. I got my Wei Yun right here. Signed by Jeffrey Combs. Long live the Dominion.
Yeah.
Very pretty, very pretty. Got a selfie with him too.
Yeah.
The signature prices and stuff like that are a bit cheaper than Cincinnati Comic Expo, so that's kind of nice. That being said, like I said, Sam Raimi is still pricey, but we'll still be able to see him at the panel, so that'll be cool. You'll probably get Spider-Man questions, even though it's an Evil Dead panel.
If we end up interacting with him, it's gonna be like because I'm like interrogating him at the questions board or something like that.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was a fun little convention. Saturdays are always the big days at these conventions, but we'll go home. I'm gonna force you guys to watch X-Men '97.
I'm gonna
torture
take
you guys.
the biggest, longest nap possible,
and then we'll rest.
Refreshed.
Well, the good news is that it looks like this doesn't even start till like 11 tomorrow. So
thank goodness.
Like I know Cincinnati Comic Expo is usually like the Saturday is like 9 to like 10 or something like that if you do the whole day. And I think even last year we ducked out for the costume contest. And then this I think it's like 11 till like 2 or something, but we're not going to stay that late. We'll probably head home about the same time we are now. But still, we'll get plenty of footage. We'll see what else there is to do. But yeah, the Evil Dead panel, checking out the short films, talking to short filmmakers sounds awesome. Yeah. Maybe we'll even get some interviews because that might be cool. But yeah, good fun tomorrow. So signing out for the first day. We're here for day 2. We just left the film festival, saw some cool movies.
I bet you did.
Yeah.
I met Henrietta.
Yeah. He got Ted Raimi. Pretty awesome.
His hand touched his hand.
No, the first movie was interesting. Kind of like a cult idea to it, I thought. Yeah.
Flesh Jesus.
And then the second movie was Visage. It was a foreign language movie. That was actually really, really good.
I really liked it.
That was like a witch trial one. I highly recommend checking it out. It's probably like 20 minutes, but holy crap.
It was my favorite.
And then the third movie, Justice Unleashed, novice filmmaker. I wish him well, but
Yes.
Not good. Okay.
I don't want to be a jerk because it's like you're trying, man. But, ouch.
Well, Sid, it is almost time for Evil Dead.
Yeah, Evil Dead's at 2.
Is that 2? I thought it was at 1.
I just looked it up. It's at 2.
Okay.
Blair Witch is at 1. I've actually never seen Blair Witch.
Really?
Yeah, I've never seen it.
It's worth it. And
Okay.
considering like the marketing and hype that was around it for when it was released, it's impressive.
Okay.
Like, there were people believing it was real.
Interesting. I am No, I just remember like that started the whole found footage thing.
It did.
After that was a thing.
It was.
That was like a genre
There is
after
one
that.
itching question I have, but I could just go up to them individually and ask.
True. I mean, they just have tables
They do.
in the vendor hall.
Yeah, and Ted's was pretty quiet when I was there.
Really?
Yeah, well, he wasn't there, and then like maybe like 8 people ahead of me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's not too bad. The last movie was Juggernaut. That's it. Yeah.
Juggernaut.
Yeah, Juggernaut was really well made. Like you brought up how the story felt a little bit inconsistent, which it was.
I necessarily
But it wasn't
felt
bad.
inconsistent.
Yeah.
It just dragged on a lot.
Yeah, so essentially, it like when she told, like they had one of the, she wasn't a filmmaker, but she was someone who was in conversation with the filmmakers, and they built it around that fight scene. And the fight scene was cool, but the whole story is kind of like he's bringing this dead person to a place so he can resurrect them. The book looked like it was from, the book looked like Necron comic.
Okay.
It was a different color, but it had kind of the face. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, he's taking him and he's resurrecting the person. They gets into this fight, and then he dies, but he resurrects the person, and then they just take the place of the person that he fought. So it was a little short film, but like it was well made, and I liked it a fair bit. But this was still the highlight. I just thought that was wildly cool. Yeah, but yeah. So that's day 2. We got Evil Dead panel coming up, and then I know there's more stuff. It's Saturday. We'll be busy. We'll see who else we get in. We got Bobby in finally. George is flown around. We'll see who else cameos in this video.
We're doing a little contest here. Yuzna, how much you have left? $80. You can buy 1/5 of a Bruce Campbell autograph, probably. 3/4 of my brother Sam's autograph. Raise your hand if you got any money left. Raise your hand if you got any money left. You, how much you got left? How much?
150.
I will invest that for you. Don't you worry about a thing. Now, folks, thank you so much for the warm welcome. It's lovely to be here in Cincinnati. Fantastic. I love Ohio. And yes, thank you. It's nice to hear that. Though it's so funny, everyone I ask who's from here, I say, oh, how do you like where you live? No. Not too bad. But for the first time now on stage in the state of Ohio, I'd like to introduce to you my older brother, Ivan Raimi. That's it.
Hello, everybody. Great to be in Ohio.
So, Ivan, actually, my first question is for you. So, you have the distinction of being an ER doctor, which, I mean, that's insane that you do movies on the side and you're like kind of like a superhero in that regard.
Like that, was Michael Crichton an ER doctor as well?
Yes, and he was actually had the distinction of being the tallest person to graduate Harvard Medical School.
The tallest besides.
He was on their basketball team.
That's insane. So I was curious how your experiences in the ER and some of the things that you've seen, do you work into your screenplay writing and how that affects, you know, the stories that you want to tell and the reality of it?
Well, not so much the gore aspects of it, which come with the job. Maybe I get used to gore, but the human aspects of the people I meet, the situations they have, or who's lying to me, who's lying to the cops, who's, you know, that sort of thing is more interesting. And the ER brings everybody in from all economic classes, and they're all having the worst day of their life. So it's just a very dramatic place, not necessarily in the medical horrific acts that you see, but in all the human foibles and tragedies and people's day in the emergency room. I find from that a lot of source of stories.
Well, and Ted, I wanted to ask you about your work as a voiceover artist, and you recently did an amazing game called The Quarry. I think you have some fans, and I just wanted to ask you about working on that and what the experience was with motion capture and how it's different from, you know, regular in front of a camera acting, if at all, and how you wrap your arms around that role.
Okay, that's a good question. Well, have you guys seen played the game The Quarry? Oh, awesome, thank you. So, motion capture is different from making movies in that, of course, when they photograph you, it's exactly like a camera. Of course, it's film going through a gate. There's a set. There's props, and et cetera, makeup artists. Motion capture is different in that the set, the props, the lighting, the camera motion is all added later. In fact, even the actors, while they're there on set performing, are added later, and here's why. What they do is, you're essentially brought into the Matrix. So, you really are. So, you spend an entire day of them recording various aspects of your voice, walking, running, jogging, doing 100 different little movements. The camera's recording all this. Then they body scan you 3D. It takes about an hour and a half to do. There is nothing you can hide. Nothing. So now the computer, which is essentially just this close to AI, not exactly AI, but pretty close, will take all of that information and create what's essentially a puppet, a digital puppet of you, which is immobile and inert. But it can speak like you can, it can, if asked, move like you can, and perform like you can. So on set, you wear a suit. You may have seen it. It looks like a diving suit. It's got little white dots. You've probably seen pictures of it a million times. And there's a camera. But the camera, which is attached to a helmet, is not photographing you. Instead, it's looking at images of dots, a few hundred, painted on your face. As you move your face, the dots are transposed to the camera, which then extrapolate that information, feed it to the computer, and it creates a version of you that it thinks is you. And that is what motion capture is. So when you see me in games like The Quarry, that is, while it looks exactly like me, but a digital version, that's the computer's interpretation of what I'm doing on set at that moment. And the difference between a voiceover, say, game and something like that is a game like The Quarry, or games like, I'm trying to think of other ones, sort of like in that series of Supermassive games, the one with Rami Malek and the other ones. Thank you, yeah, Until Dawn, and he's so amazing in that game. But those games, those actors are speaking to one another on set at that moment. And the audience, you, me, watching it, gets an immediate sense that there's an energy between them. The other way they do it, which is most common, is they'll pre-animate it. Usually they'll farm it out to another country sometimes. Sometimes they do it in America, but they'll pre-animate it. Then the actor comes in, and just like a cartoon, you just do your best to loop it in and move to the puppet mouth. But I think this one's more immediate, and that's really the big difference.
So do you have to exaggerate your expressions more, or just normal?
No, just normal. It really is incredibly subtle. It sees everything. The camera's literally this close to you. And not only that, but our game was the first game, though it sounds ridiculous, but it is. It was the first game that could track eyeballs. So in every other motion capture movie or video game you saw, the eyes look strangely dead or they look weird. That's because they had to animate the eyeballs. They couldn't. But this game, they had new technology, so where we looked, the puppet also looked.
I was curious if it sounds like it's going to continue. And I was wondering if there's going to be like a shared universe for the Evil Dead, where everyone connects together at some point, because I think everybody would love that.
I think that's a question for you, Evan.
No pressure.
Well, I think that there is a shared universe of Evil Dead. We're just trying to discover it. It keeps coming back around in different versions, and the short answer to that question is yes. I think there will be. I can't say.
Come on, you can do better than that for a shared universe of Evil Dead.
I can't spoil what's coming up, but yes, there is a shared universe in some fashion, not necessarily in the Marvel way of interconnectedness, but there is different dimensions that connect in the Evil Dead universe.
Liam invested in Darkman. I heard a rumor that Liam Neeson wanted to come back and do another film. Is that something that's in the works, maybe?
Yeah, I want to know if you want to make another movie. Yo, I didn't get enough of the last one. By the way, I've been working hard on my American accent. I sound American now. Why y'all laughing?
Well, first of all, Darkman was really Liam Neeson's first action film in America. And I'd love to see him do another one, maybe with Bruce, maybe with Ash. That would be fun, but I don't think there's anything formally in the works. Maybe Sam has more information on that. I personally would like, there were some sequels to Darkman, but they didn't involve Liam Neeson. But I think it would be, but he really made the role, and he made it into a really good, interesting character that was big, but not too arch. He was able to pull that off.
I'm glad a Maasai is born in Detroit, Michigan. So...
I think Liam Neeson is a fantastic actor. He kills it in every movie he's in. He is the sweetest guy. All that said, I do personally believe that Liam might be the only one who thinks that Liam is doing an American accent in all of his movies. Which I think also changes the plots of all the movies and ever so slightly. Okay, so take for the plot of Taken, for example, Redgrave goes after his daughter and those terrible, monstrous people in Eastern Europe who's kidnapped her. And so the plot isn't an American ex-Marine who's now working as a security guard must go to Eastern Europe to rescue his daughter in a foreign land. Instead, the plot is an ex-Irish cop now living in Los Angeles must go back to Europe. That's what the plot is. Darkman is an Irish scientist who moved to Detroit must now change his face to get the people who burned it off. It's a little different, not that bad.
Okay.
Was great experience. I was too young to be scared. I was too young to be nervous. I didn't know what I was getting into. It was a great experience. It was a very friendly, actor-friendly show. Where David Lynch really kept a very loose and fun set. So that was exciting. And I also remember the audition. Most of my scenes were with Kenneth Welch, who's just a great Shakespearean trained actor. That guy is a firehouse. I had just come from an audition for a commercial for a deodorant. And I was supposed to be a high school teacher. So I was wearing a corduroy jacket, and I had elbow patches on, khakis, hush puppies. And in those days, we didn't have cell phones. So what you did is when you were done with an audition in LA, you'd go to the phone booth, put in a quarter, you'd call a message service, and they would always keep your calls for you and go, did anybody call me? And they say, yeah, your agent's called, you should call them back. I'm like, okay, so I call them back, what's up? You have an audition, it's in Santa Monica. I said, well, I'm in downtown, and in Los Angeles, that's like a 9-day drive. And so I said, well, that's pretty far away. I go, what's the part? Like, should I really go down there? It's rush hour, it's Friday. They go, yeah, it's for Twin Peaks. I'm like, oh, that weird TV show? They go, yeah. It wasn't a cult show yet. It was just this weird-ass show that hardly anybody watched. The critics loved it, audiences hated it. It just absolutely did not play well at first. And so I said, well, what's the part? They go, you're a punk rocker. I went, I'm wearing a corduroy jacket, khaki pants. I don't know anything about punk rock. They go, just go, it might be good for you. I went, all right, the whole time I'm like, this is so effing stupid. I can't believe I'm wasting a whole afternoon. This is really dumb. So I get all the way to Santa Monica, and I get out of the car and I walk in there, and there's 20 other guys, all my age. You have to remember, I'm like 20 at this point. There's 20 other 20-year-olds, but all of them have not faux hawks, mohawks. They have 100 nose rings, tattoos up the side of their neck. Today, that's not nearly as shocking. In those days, that was insane. That was insane to have that in the 90s. And I was like, well, I don't know why I'm bothering. I had the part. I'm like, I'm not even going to really learn this thing. There's no point. But I scanned it. They called me in. I walk in there. And in those days, there was Hollywood producers all looked like producers. Like today, they kind of wear jeans and t-shirts, but in those days, they wore Armani suits, and they really looked slick. And there were a bunch of them in there from the network. And then somebody's dad. It's like, whose dad is here? Just some guy. He had like baggy shorts. He was eating a sandwich. I'm like, whose dad got in here? I'm like, okay, whatever, this is weird. I read it, and I left. And before I walked out, the casting director went, oh, sit down for a minute. We want to see you again. I'm like, what? Okay. And all the other kids go in. I'm waiting about an hour. I go back in. And just the dad is there. And the casting director, all the producers are gone. They had me go through a bunch of times. They went, okay, that's good. Can you work later? I went, yeah, sure, I can work. When's the work? 2 days, great. How do you, did you already talk to the director? They go, that's David Lynch. I was like, oh, I didn't know. It was really embarrassing. They both laughed at me.
So the question for Evil Dead is for Ted. You were the first one, correct?
Not really. I mean, not yes and no.
Okay.
Sort of. I went down there to help, and then I wound up doing a little bit of everything, including being Hal Delridge's hands and Ellen's feet, and so yes, body parts of me are in there. But no, not really.
So were you the Deadite the first one or the second one? That's what I was getting at.
Neither.
Neither?
None. I don't think I ever played like a traditional Dead. I mean, I was Henry Adamant.
Okay. I just wanted to ask what your experience was like on it.
No, not really. I mean, I got Evil Dead 1, I was only like 12 years old when I went down there. My dad thought of me, he said, your brother's finally has a legitimate business at last.
So now it's time to
He goes, I don't know. Dad said, I don't really know what's going to happen to it, but you should see how another business is run other than my own. So, and I also want you to keep an eye on your brother. So he got me a plane ticket, and I flew down to Tennessee, and he goes, oh, here. He goes, here's $60 for the week so you can have food, and if you get bored, you can go to a movie. I was like, thanks, Dad. So I land, and this is a tiny little municipal airport. It's like, prop plane. It's like Casablanca, like fog and shit like that. And I get down the stairs. There's only like 10 people on the flight. Not that many people wanted to go to Wadesboro. Excuse me. Yeah, not that many people. Sorry, Tennessee. And so I get off the top steps, and this one person met another person, and my brother Sam was waiting for me there. I went, oh. He goes, I said, this is so great. Thanks for meeting me in the airport. He goes, you're welcome. Did Dad give you any money? I said, yeah. He goes, well, give it. I said, what am I going to eat with? He goes, if you don't give me that money, none of us are going to eat. I'm broke. So I was like, this trip sucks already. I'm like, here. But it wound up being great because I wound up, kind of helping the cast crew. I finally had my first taste at 12, sort of what sets were like. So it was awesome.
Hey, HorrorHound. We just, well, not just, but we left, the last thing we did was the Evil Dead panel. I guess Sam Raimi didn't do the panel, which kind of surprised me. I know Jane Levy canceled, but apparently he's just signing autographs. He's not doing the panel. I'm not sure what the deal is with that, but okay. We got some footage of the panel, and, Ted and Ivan had some cool stories about Evil Dead, Darkman, and growing up, and child abuse, and good fun. And then next they're going to do, the next thing we're looking at, they're doing a red carpet interview with a director, and then they're going to premiere his movie, and some sort of red carpet, I don't know, it seemed kind of weird, but we'll go check out the director's Q&A, and then we'll watch the movie, and then we'll probably call it a day. It's a Saturday. I will say, how do you compare this to Comp Expo? It's interesting, yeah.
I'm not as sapped of life, which is funny because I'm at a horror convention.
Yeah. Well, it's not as busy. And there are busy aspects, but it's not as busy as the Comic Expo.
I think that makes me feel better. I don't like being in places with lots of people. If I go to Walmart and it's really packed, I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it.
I understand.
I become like unfunctional and I need to leave.
I understand. I'm an introvert. I understand. It's rough. Like I can charge. Like it's when I do live streamings. I have to be charged up and ready to do a live stream, and I can only do so much. And eventually, I just start shutting down. And this is kind of the same thing. But we'll check out this film, and then we'll call it a day. And then we'll check out Sunday. We won't have nearly as busy a day as Sunday. So yeah, party on.
Coming this 2022 maybe, whenever. A soccer mom from Indiana, a soccer mom from Ohio summons a demon from hell. Starring Grace Blazoles Hayes.
You know, for a demon, I thought you'd be a lot cooler.
Brian Papandrea. Ellie Church. Jason Crow. Bitch. Susan Martin.
Kyle.
And introducing Satanic Soccer Mom from Ohio. Check it out. If it ever gets released.
Tonight we celebrate Abby's life. While cut short, it's important to remember the good times. We're continuing to keep her and her memory alive through our scholarship foundation. We have a remarkable young woman who's the first recipient of that award, and she's here with us tonight.
You have such a beautiful home.
I'm sorry my wife couldn't be here to greet you. This whole thing's been really hard on her.
What happened with Abby? Another suicide. We have one of the highest suicide rates in the country.
I'm not saying the curse is real, but the story is.
What's the curse?
Clara Miller. She found out her father was having an affair. She decided to take matters into her own hands. Clara would kill anyone that cheated.
No one's listening. She didn't kill herself, you know that.
There's something you should know.
I think we're in danger. Something is coming for me. Hey, bitch! Jesus! I didn't think it was real. I didn't know. She's watching me. I think this town is cursed.
It's too late to stop her.
Okay, I'm out of breath. I'm wrapping up day 2 of HorrorHound. I left my camera bag in the place, so I had to run back and get it. So I'm really winded. So it's a great time to record an outro video. Really high energy right now. What do you think, Ashleen?
I mean, I think I had a good day overall.
Yeah. Well, we did a lot of film festival stuff, and we did the Evil Dead panel. Honestly, I think the film festival stuff is really interesting because, like, you get to see mostly, like, pretty good movies, and, you know, they're indie projects, and you get to speak with the filmmakers at the end, which I think is a really cool thing. Yeah. It was good. It was good. Like we were saying earlier, this isn't as busy as Cincinnati Comic Expo. In some ways it's better, in some ways it's worse. It's worse in that there's less to do, and it's better in that there's less to do. Yay?
I prefer having less to do.
It is cool
I am not divided about this at all.
So you prefer this?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I feel a little winded right now, but overall the experience is less draining. And like I said, I like the film festival aspect. That's a really cool aspect.
And, you know, little highlights of walking around at, like, a horror festival is you get to see, like, little 5-year-olds be like, oh my goodness, I love Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
But yeah, this is the end of day 2. We won't have too much for day 3, but we'll check it out for sure. So, yep.
Hello? Shit.
So you're a postman.
That's right.
Listen, postman. Eugene City is not where you want to be right now.
Your lady of the night.
Cassandra?
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 Have a magical evening.
There we go. Day 3, HorrorHound. We just did a film festival where we got to see 3 short movies. They were all excellent. There's a goofy little comedy western, and then there was a cool, I guess, comedy gas thing. Explosion. People blew up.
Nuclear comedy.
Yeah, that one's goofy. And then there's a global warming horror movie, which was also very, very good. Happy movie. That one was happy. It had good, fun feelings. But yeah, it's very good. We're going to catch the Halloween Ends panel here in a little bit, and then call it a day. You have any updates, Bobby?
No,
Yeah.
none right now.
Having a good time?
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, that's day 3. And
My feet hurt.
It's a convention. We're going to be exhausted when this is done.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rohan Campbell! Mr. James Jude Courtney!
How did it feel to kind of end the story? I mean, you were there at the start.
Yeah,
so
right.
You should start this.
Yeah, well, really, for me, Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends is all one movie.
right? So it's first act, second act, third act. So, you know, same cinematographer, same camera operator, same director, same costuming. You know, the costuming, of course, like any movie, changes as, you know, so for me, it was really, it was just one continuous movie. And I have to say, Jamie and I both agreed that finale we did together was the most powerful thing that each of us had ever done in a movie. So for me to have that experience with Jamie Lee Curtis and throw down with this badass dude, oh man, it was so awesome. It was a great way to end that trilogy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like continuously humbled and a bit of a. It still doesn't hit me that I'm in this movie. Honestly, it just feels like a head trip, and it's just an incredible thing to just sort of slide in and be a part of something that they already created, and sort of you know, just be a part of that closing chapter and see Jamie wrap out was like an incredible moment, and just to, you know, be able to sneak in there and wrestle around with Michael Myers, you know, before this trilogy got put to bed was a big deal. So yeah, I'm just super honored and super humbled, you know, to just even be a part of that closing chapter.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, I drove all the way here from Cleveland just for this panel to ask the guy on stage, who's on stage right now, who would know the answer. That's Mr. Courtney. So what I'm going to do, the question that I got to ask, I got to work my way into it so you understand the context and where it's coming from. It's going to get a little spoilery, but to be fair, the name of the movie is Halloween Ends. Trying to figure out when the first movie, Halloween, starts with Michael Myers, he is Halloween. So, that being said, Halloween Ends, I would call it a character drama until it turns into a live-action cartoon at the end. So, at the end, Michael Myers just poof, he's there. Laurie Strode sees him and becomes the shape around the shape. By that I mean, she goes, whoa! Picks him up by the nape of the neck, slams him down on a cutting board, pins him to the cutting board with knives, breaks his legs with a refrigerator, then takes a butcher knife and just starts stabbing. Okay? Then the granddaughter comes in, and she goes, oh my God, Grandma, what are you doing? She sees Michael Myers, and she goes, whoa! She suddenly has a knife in her hand, and she's stabbing him too. Michael Myers is being double teamed by the Strodes. He's the killer, he's the bad guy. He's turning into a miserable pile of stab wounds. Blood is just coming out of this guy. If you tap him on the belly, blood would shoot out everywhere. It's like a saturated sponge. So the Strodes get tired of stabbing him. 5 hours later, there's a swimming pool of blood on the ground. And then they pick him up, they carry him to a truck yard. There's like a wood chipper for cars there. They throw him in feet first. He's getting ground up, hits his head finally goes under. A foot-high geyser of blood shoots out. So my question, same question that I had for Mr. Castle, same question I have for you, is the question that I screamed at the movie theater screen when I was watching. I never do that. This movie made me do that. And that question I have for you is, how much effing blood does that MFer have in his body? Because this movie, Michael Myers has so much blood in his body, he can feed a family of vampires until he dies of old age. Thank you.
The answer to that, sir, is 17.5 gallons. I was there. I was there. I bled every freaking drop of that 17.5 gallons.
I'm just glad you didn't say something cheesy like 666 gallons.
How big was your? I had a 2-liter blood bag for the
2-liter blood?
Yeah, for the shooting.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Yes. Yeah.
It wasn't real.
Yeah, we went through gallons. Gallons of blood. Yeah.
So when you guys, like when he came in and like he like wore the mask and he kind of like became like possessed, how like what's like the explanation behind that? Like how does that work? Like was it just Like, did you just like become possessed like when you looked at Michael? Was it the mask? Is it like some like secret third thing? And then also, did you guys film a cut of you on the back of his motorcycle?
No, we did that after work every day. I drove James home every day.
My hair was flying in the wind.
Most people wear a helmet, he throws on a wig. No, I always I think the first question I had when I read this script, and the first thing I do every time I get any script is sort of figure out what the trap is, or what's the thing that's most challenging for the character's change or the emotional journey. And in this movie, like you said, it's right after the moment that Michael grabs him by the throat and stares into his eyes, and something happens to Corey. And so I was reading this, and we were talking about whether it's a magical spiritual thing or whatever dark energy is coming to Corey. And the thing that made the most sense to me is Corey's lived in a town his whole life where all of the good people, the normal people, have been brutal to him, and he's been bullied relentlessly for something that's not in his control. And the only person in the world to show him empathy and kindness in that moment is Michael Myers, and he lets him walk away. And I've sort of had it in my head for a long time now that in that moment, Corey sort of looked at that and said, I want to be like this guy. I want to be able to have the power to spare people, and I want to have that darkness in me, but I want to control it. He's not as refined as Michael is, so he's sloppy about it, and it gets out of hand, and it ends in a really horrible way. But I've always seen it as a story about empathy, and Michael Myers is oddly the only person to spare him in that moment in the whole story. So that's how I saw it.
I wanted to know how much you worked with Nick Castle to develop your version of Michael, and also if you reached out to any of the other actors that played Michael throughout the years.
There was a wonderful old character actor named Ted Knight. He was on the Mary Tyler Moore Show, Caddyshack. He gave me an incredible gift. I just moved out to Los Angeles. I was a waiter for a Skinny Minute, and he was the first table I got. He was a 65-year-old man with this really hot 23-year-old date, and dude had it going on. He was a handsome man and really charming. And he said, "You're an actor." I went, "How do you know?" He goes, "I can tell these things." And I said, "Okay, great." He goes, I'm gonna give you a gift." And he said, well, he actually said, "Sit down, let's talk." And he said, "If you want to be a really good actor, emulate. Learn to emulate. Emulate the person walking down the street. Emulate the bartender, your mother, your lover. But when you emulate them, don't look at the way they walk. Don't try to gesticulate or articulate like they do. Reach inside them. Reach inside their soul. And if you can grab their soul, you will automatically begin to speak, walk, think like them. You will become them." And so I've used that technique, and I've used that in creating characters, because I'll see somebody or something that really resonates for me in terms of character. So when I got the call to go down to Charleston, South Carolina to be put on tape, I watched Halloween '78 one time, and in that process, there's one scene where Nick Castle, as the Shade, was walking camera left to camera right in the backyard. The entire time I was watching the film, I was just reaching into Nick Castle. I was reaching into the character of the Shade. And as he was walking across that backyard, in my head I went, I got it. So I never practiced walking, I never practiced anything. Once I captured what Nick Castle so brilliantly created, I had it. I've never talked to Nick Castle about the character. I've never talked to any other Michael Myers about the character. I've known all of them. But for me, it's a real spiritual experience. Acting anyhow is a very deeply spiritual experience. And so that process was just a natural extension for me. And then what happens is, so I captured what Nick created, brought it into my soul, into my being. And then through that, as it comes out, there are all the years of working as an actor, stunt work, martial arts, a lot of the spiritual work I've done, gone to the jungles of Peru and doing ayahuasca with shaman, doing African rituals with ibogaine and an African shaman. Native American, peyote. I've done a lot of plant medicine, and a lot of work during those sessions. And, then the life experiences and, and getting in touch with myself on a spiritual level, on a psychological level. I allow all those things to just sort of make a big stew of what Michael Myers as the Shape became from what Nick Castle had created. So to me, it was just a profoundly spiritual experience. I've never talked really. David and I had very little conversation. About the character itself. He called me, after he cast me, and he goes, so Jim, well, let's. I was thinking, maybe we should be moving something like a cat. And I said, well, it's funny. I got my cat Parcel sitting in my lap right now. He goes, well, great. Okay, that's settled. And that was it. So the entire process of creating this character was just a very deeply spiritual one.
Since Halloween Ends is, of course, partially a character study, I wanted to ask you if there were any actors or even specific characters that you used to help you build up your character in the movie as inspiration.
I mean, we've talked about Christine, so obviously that performance is like one of my favorites. It's oddly not really something that I've done to go and watch other performances or actors and sort of emulate it, I guess, because I always get worried I'm trying to do something that's not honest to what's happening in the room when we're shooting it. And the best thing about David and the script he put together is Corey, first time I read it, felt like the person that he was. And so it became less about emulating a performance and more about making sure that I did justice emulating the Corey that I read and the Corey that I fell in love with in the script. But yeah, I don't know, like the Christine performance is cool, but yeah, I just, you try to do your own thing and try to work from a place of honesty. And I wanted to do Corey justice off the page.
Hey, we are wrapping up HorrorHound. We did the 3 short movies and Halloween Ends. The 3 short movies, it was the first one was the zombie western. That was funny. What do you think?
I liked it.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one quite a bit.
Wait a minute, I think I remember the names to all of them. We're gonna do this.
Oh, you know the names. Awesome.
Okay, so oh no, the cowboy western. Oh no. Okay. Okay, so I'm a bit fishy on this one.
I think it was something to do with the postman, right?
It didn't say anything about a postman specifically.
Oh, okay.
But, so this one, I'm gonna get approximately it, but I remember the exact name of every other film.
Ooh.
So, get ready, you guys. Dead Man Still Riding, or something like that.
Ooh,
it was something like that, yeah.
Maybe Dead
Men Still Ride?
Maybe, yeah.
It was something about dead men and riding. You can look it up.
I think you are right, yes.
If you're watching this, you have the internet and you can look it up.
That one got the loudest applause. I thought that was really, really funny.
Yes.
Really fun. It's about a postman who isn't the smartest fellow in the Western world,
but he's a postman.
Yeah, and he thinks it's very important, and zombie apocalypse too.
But he needs to deliver that letter.
But he does need to deliver. Yes.
Yeah.
And that was good. And then the second one was, do you remember?
Red Velvet.
Red Velvet, that's right.
Yeah.
That was the one about the dude who called the hooker, and then, he goes to a hotel room, but then he gets news reports about some sort of nuclear explosion causing a gas leak out.
And then the lady shows up, and then he gets
They establish that the gas will cause you to have hallucinations until you finally blow up.
Yes.
And then, he sees this lesion on his arm, but fortunately he's able to wash it off.
Because that's how that works.
Mm-hmm. Especially something that's clearly under the skin. You can just wash that off. Yes.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's fine. Yeah.
So,
and then the lady comes over, and then they have kind of a creepy conversation, and then
he gets a call, and of like a report with the lady being like, sorry, by the way, traffic really sucks today. I'm going to be 10 minutes late.
Yeah.
And he's like, what the hell?
And then he's going to the shower because the lady's in the shower to see what's up. And then he gets a knock on the door. And the lady's like, I'm sorry, I was late. Here I am. And he's like, what the hell? And then first lady, and by the way, they're the same lady, but first lady kills second lady. And then,
And then he goes outside.
Yeah.
And to leave the evil murder lady. And then he explodes and dies.
Yeah. That one's kind of a goof. It's more serious, but there's definitely a comedy aspect to that one as well. It was probably my least favorite of the three, but I enjoyed it. Like, it was a solid movie. It was well made. I will say I felt the exploding people was kind of an easy gimmick to end the movie, but it's overall I enjoyed it. It was fun. And then that didn't really help because the sun. I just look a little dark. I'm dark. And then what was the third one?
The Last Butterflies.
The Last Butterflies. Yes, that was an uplifting movie.
It was so sweet.
Yeah, that was.
So
dark.
it was about like an apocalyptic,
about
future,
global warming,
and it was about global warming,
Yeah.
and it was it had like inflation and stuff like that, and it was sort of like, what if we continued in this way?
Yeah. Well, if we just keep on going the way we've been going as humanity, it's a family. Like, I don't even remember if the daughter has a name. I think it's just mom, dad, and daughter, essentially. Yeah. And we see, cuts between the mom and the daughter journeying somewhere. We're not sure where. We eventually learn they're going up north in Canada. And then flashing back to scenes earlier to, like, what happened, how the dad was a scientist. Eventually, that he's hired to work on some sort of ark, which we learn is a spaceship, and it's like, oh my god, it's so desperate they're making an ark. They're not sure how many people will survive. The dad gets offered to go on it. He says no, and he eventually dies from a fight over water.
Because of a fight over water.
Yeah.
And they're all carrying like these jugs, and they like a milk jug.
Yeah.
You know how big a milk jug is, and it's like about like this much like water. In
It's not that much.
It's not a lot.
And he dies over that.
And it's like one jug per family.
Mm-hmm. And and then they eventually run out in the family afterwards, like, hey, where's our water? Hey, you took too much. And it's like, no, dude, we can't do this. And then the dad's like, calm down, and the dude kills him. Yeah. It's really dark. The ending, I don't want to spoil too much because the ending's really dark, but the ending is very much, I feel like she definitely saw Frank Darabont, The Mist. Although this one, the darker ending isn't as bittersweet. It's just the dark ending, which I guess is better. But yeah, three, I think, very good, very well made, very thoughtful movies. I enjoyed them all. Very much. Three bangers. And then we saw the Halloween Ends panels, which that was a fun panel too.
It was a fun panel.
It was Corey who played Corey. He played Corey. So the actor who played Corey and the actor who played Michael. So essentially the two Michaels in Halloween Ends. James Jude Courtney is the guy who plays Michael, and then I don't remember who plays Corey. Do you?
No, that's why I made like a big point of gesturing at him when I was talking to him. I thought that the name of his character was Corey.
Yes.
But, I was like, what if that's the name of the actor? But I didn't want to be like, hey, Corey.
But yeah, they were good, and they gave lots of interesting information. Apparently, they're doing a fair bit of their own stunts. Well, I mean, James Jude Courtney is, I think, primarily a stuntman, so he was kind of used to it.
Jude Courtney's spine makes a wonderful sound.
Yeah, apparently, Corey they were practicing doing throwing him down to the ground, and James Jude Courtney finally says, go all at it. So he goes all at it, and apparently his spine made a noise, and apparently that was the take they took. But he was like, when you see me jump back when that happens, that's because his spine made a noise. And I was like, holy shit. That was real life. Holy crap, what I do. But that was a fun panel. HorrorHound is fun. I had, I will say they need more Star Trek people. Yes, I understand they had the entire cast of Star Trek here with Jeffrey Combs, but they need more Star Trek people. They do. I know it's a horror convention, but come on, guys. You can do better.
books, records, films, these things matter. Call me shallow. It's the fucking truth.
See, I think the film festival stuff is really interesting because like you get to see mostly like pretty good movies and you know they're indie projects, and you get to speak with the filmmakers at the end, which I think is a really cool thing. And I'm really desperate to copyright this video